Yes, hello everybody. We have our second meeting about SolarPunk and Gen Ukraine common work together. So the idea is that we can know each other better and better with every meeting. So today we have three speakers. We have Christopher Muscato here, Yuri Miron, and Lubodar. Christopher Muscato, uh, how to say it correctly. As far as I get it, he will tell us about cultural, even like literature aspect of solar punks. Yeah, I see he's smiling. Then I am correct. So no tomato from Christopher today. Yuri Miron will tell us about his art. I think during the war and in general. And we have Lubodar here. He is representing Gen Ukraine. So his main topic is connection between tradition and technology. But I think he will also tell us some interesting things about Gen Ukraine as well. So for we have a little tradition for the for these meetings, we're sharing a little cartoon, which is represent solar panels. So the visual idea can always be better than words. So it's a short cartoon. I will turn it on now, and we will move to Christopher Muscato. Okay, that was it. So despite my sloppy introduction, I'm really interested in what Christopher can tell us. So I pass my word to you.
Right, fantastic. Thank you. That was beautiful. That was fun. I'm Christopher Muscato. Very nice to meet all of you. I am a SolarPunk writer from the US, and I'm just here to talk a little bit about um, the literary side of SolarPunk and where the idea of SolarPunk kind of emerged from. Because I am also a historian by trade, and so I like having a bit of a historical approach to how we understand our arts. I know that sometimes I do speak a little fast, so if at any point we need me to slow down for translation purposes, just toss a note in the chat, and I'll try and keep my eye on that as well. All right, so that clip that you shared was actually a great way to work into this because how I want to start is just by encouraging everyone to think about for just a second what solar punk means to you. When you picture the word solar punk, what are the first things that come to mind? Since we're kind of a larger group, I won't ask you to share just for time's sake, but just think about it. And I'm guessing that when you think of solar punk, a lot of those images that we just saw in that cartoon come to mind. We're going to see a lot of green. We're going to see some regenerative agriculture. We're going to see some high technology. Basically a very nice, very pleasant future that is one marked by abundance and prosperity and a healthier relationship with the climate and our environment. So, where do these ideas come from? To start, I'm going to define solarpunk as we tend to understand it in the literary world for those of us who are writing solarpunk. And the definition I like to use is utopian, futurist, climate fiction. All right, so three parts of that. Let's break that down. The first one is obviously utopian. That's an idea I'm guessing pretty much everyone is familiar with. Solarpunk is an inherently utopian genre, which means that it is driven by hope. A lot of times when people hear utopian, they just automatically assume that you're talking about something that is always perfect, there's no conflict, and that's not actually true from a literary standpoint. We're just looking at a place where there is an ability to resolve the issues that we're facing now. It is a place that is more perfect than we have now. The definition I like to use that is utopia is not a place that is perfect, but it is a place that is willing to deal with its own imperfections. And we kind of end up with an idea like in that cartoon. So Solarpunk is very actively focused on this idea of creating a better future. That's the utopian element of it. Even if it's not always perfect, even if the solutions have to change, the belief that we can fundamentally get it right, that we can improve things, that optimism, that hope is a driving force of Solarpunk as an artistic and literary movement. And that does mean that we have to embrace a certain level of conscientiousness with it, because we have to make sure that our utopia is not something that is only a utopia for some people. It is something that is a broad utopia. So we have to make sure we're being very conscientious when we envision our futures of who is included in it, who fits in this future, who has a place in this future, who is going to be disadvantaged by other changes that we can consider. So it's a very broad form of perspective, right? So utopian, the next definition I give you was futurist. When we say that solar punk is a futuristic or futurist literary genre, we mean that it is one set a bit in the future. It can be very near or very far future, but also the futurist element implies some belief that technology will play a role in this utopian future we're trying to create. And this is different from other things we see like cottagecore, which are all about trying to go back to simpler times of living sort of idea. Solarpunk does embrace technology, used in an ethical, responsible, and controlled fashion, but the belief that some technology will be important towards are moving forward as a society and in our relationship with nature. In that clip, we saw things like solar panels and flying wind turbines and that awesome pump thing that makes the rain cloud over the clouds or over the crops, right? So elements like that, I believe that we can find responsible, ethical uses of our technology to help us have a better future. And then the final element, of course, is that this is climate fiction. Solarpunk is a genre that is based inherently around our relationship with the climate crisis. Right? The idea that we need to restore a climate balance, that our actions and our consumption, all these things have to be focused around restoring our relationship with nature and resolving the climate challenge. So basically, solarpunk, a literary genre that believes that the climate crisis matters and that we can overcome it and do so in a way that does not result in the apocalypse that we can all move forward with. So that is the basic definition of solarpunk as we understand it in the writing community. And one of the great things about solarpunk is that there's no single definition that always works all the time. It's a very decentralized genre. So it can be used in different ways depending on who needs it, depending on where in the world you are writing or reading from. These are guidelines, not strict rules. It's a very fluid genre, which is great because the problems that we have here in the arid American Mountain West, where I live, are probably different from the climate solutions that will be embraced in Ukraine or in Italy or anywhere else. So it's a genre that needs to have some fluidity to it. All right, so if you're all still hanging with me, that's solar punk as we understand it. So how did we get here? How do we get to the point where we can share a mental image like in those cartoons of a beautiful green future with these awesome technologies and a robot scarecrow, etc.? The history of solarpunk. All right, so the story of solarpunk begins with cyberpunk, which I'm sure is a genre that many of you have had exposure to at some point before. We think of these very dark, gritty, apocalyptic, dystopian stories, usually set in a city where there's lots of neon lights and there's robots and they're very high future, high technology. Cyberpunk was a popular genre that emerged in the 80s and the 90s and started people thinking about what if the future goes wrong? The overtake of corporations, technology gone rogue, wealth inequality, and the rich taking over empires, wars, all these things building up into cyberpunk. In the 1990s, a couple cyberpunk writers started looking specifically at this idea of apocalypse and social collapse from the perspective of the climate crisis. These were some of the first writers to really specifically look at the new sciences that were coming out in the 1990s and say, okay, this could be the way that it all falls apart. This could be the way that society collapses. And so they started writing cyberpunk with an ecological focus. Within this group, there were a number of Brazilian writers who really took to the ecological themes. And Brazil is makes perfect sense that this would start in Brazil. It's a country that is very attached to its ecology. It is a country that has a lot of exploitation of its natural resources and a lot of contradicting feelings about that, issues with their government, both supporting nature and also supporting corporations who are exploiting it. So Brazil was a really rich place for this to happen. And these writers started to move more and more and more and more into the ecological bend and started to create a whole new style of fiction that was really just focused on the climate, just focused on ecology and climate crisis, taking it beyond what cyberpunk had done before. Around the same time, we also get another weird subgenre of art and writing called steampunk. This is the one that tends to be set in the Victorian era, mid to late 19th century, lots of gears, all these sorts of things. And steampunk is just a ton of fun. Perhaps the greatest thing that it contributed to literature and art is just it's just fun, but it also allows for these rethinkings of history. How could have things have gone different if we had gone with steam technologies or electricity-based technologies over petroleum technologies? How could our history have gone different? What would society look like different? So by the time we get to the early 2000s, we have these different ideas. We have the idea of the apocalypse and destruction and the ecological collapse from cyberpunk. And we have the idea of alternate history coming out of steampunk. And slowly these ideas start to kind of merge together, and we start to imagine what if we had different futures based on other things, based on a world where or a future where the world doesn't collapse. What if the ecological crisis is something we can contribute to? And I'm going to drop into the chat here the first link I'm referencing if anyone wants to read along with me. The first time that these ideas were concretely put together was in 2008 in a blog published by the Republic of Bees. And this is the first time that we see the word solarpunk officially used to describe these new ideas that are starting to emerge in the literature and in arts. It's the first time that we coined this term. And the author says, for a while now, I've had the thought that an economy based on renewable energy might return to using sailing ships as working cargo ships. And he expands on this idea that we could conflate old and new technologies. Shipping was obviously, or wind power shipping was obviously how most transport and commerce happened for the vast majority of history. And he starts looking at this idea of what if we could use, renewable wind power as a way to sail ships again, and starts to bring these ideas together, a bit of technology, a bit of alternate history. And he says we should call this solar punk. And it's the first time that that term is formally used. It takes off very quickly as people start to look at more options for the way that we could reimagine our futures, imagine our use of technologies and whatnot. The next big moment in this comes from a Tumblr account, which I also dropped into the chat there. This is an account called Land of Masks and Jewels. Lands of Masks and Jewels was the first one to try and define what solar punk looks like as an artistic aesthetic. And we're going to see a lot of this in that cartoon clip that you shared. The Lands of Masks and Jewels as a account, they were the ones to first kind of officially propose that we attach solar punk to the aesthetic of Art Nouveau. Art Nouveau was a artistic movement that came after at the late Victorian era into the Edwardian era. So it grows out of the same Victorian aesthetic that steampunk comes from. So steampunk is based in the mid to late 19th century. This new Art Nouveau aesthetic attached to solarpunk is growing out of that. And Art Nouveau is interesting because it was very much a rejection of some of the ideas of the Victorian era that get incorporated into steampunk. Art Nouveau is all about craftsmanship. It is all about amplifying the role of the artisan over the role of the machine, finding ways to incorporate these beautiful, flowing, organic motifs into your arts, very nature-based, very much place-based as well. The idea that the arts should serve the community that they're in. So when the steampunk era that we're looking at, the Victorian era, focuses very largely on the first kind of concept of mass production, that you can buy the same things anywhere. Art Nouveau is trying to keep things a lot more localized. So we can see how this tends to fit into this solar punk aesthetic. And this blog is the first one to really start suggesting that we attach these ideas into solar punk. That was taken pretty quickly and expanded upon throughout the globe. And one of the next major moments in that was when a Italian-based artist collective called Commando Jugendstil begins posting their artwork throughout Europe. Jugendstil is, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize, but that is the German term for the German equivalent of Art Nouveau. So same sort of idea, but now taken from a distinctly European perspective. Commando Jugendstil as a collective were the first ones to take these disparate ideas of what solarpunk stories are, what solarpunk art is, what solarpunk activism is, and turn them into one thing. As a collectivist organization, they did political protests, they did activism, they did lobbying, they made films, they did murals, they did it all, and they continue to do it all. Commando Yukon still has their fingers in as many different pots as they can, and they were one of the first groups to really try and make solarpunk something more unified. Not just an art movement, not just a political movement, but something that is really actively functioning in all forms of society at all times. And that makes a big difference in how we start to see this as something that's not just a form of storytelling, but actually a form of how we can envision and approach our future. Going on from that, as solarpunk is now becoming much more popular, we finally get a chance to bring some of these early ideas together into our first collection of solarpunk stories. Solarpunk is really interesting as a literary genre because there aren't a lot of major novel length books attached to it at its beginning. More are being published now, and we can look back at some of the classic works of sci-fi and say those were kind of early ideas of climate fiction. But people who are specifically trying to write solarpunk, this emerged in the short story format. And that's where it really started taking off. So the first time we get a chance to bring some of these short stories together is in 2012 in an anthology called Solarpunk, Historias Ecológicas y Fantásticas en un Mundo Sustainable, published in Brazil and published in Portuguese, later translated into English and I'm sure other languages as well. The whole book is available online. I dropped it into the chat, but it is in Portuguese, so you'll have to do your own translating work there. But if you get a chance to, it's a really, really interesting look to see how our very first solarpunk authors who are trying specifically to write to meet that term, how they envision solarpunk and how it grows from there. Uh, because it wasn't exactly at that point what we think of it today. It had the basic underpinnings to it, but I would argue that solarpunk, as we currently understand it as a literature movement, didn't really consolidate until roughly 2014, 2015. And one of the major points in that is in 2014 when a author named Adam Flynn is going to publish Solarpunk: Notes Towards a Manifesto. And I think this is one of the pieces of writing that really, really helped everybody click in their minds what Solarpunk was, what it looks like, what it feels like, what its goals are, how it impacts the real world. It kind of brought all these ideas we've talked about together and merged them into Solarpunk basically as we recognize it today. So I'm going to read you just a couple quotes from his piece. He defines it as solarpunk is about finding ways to make life more wonderful for us right now, and more importantly, for the generations that follow us, i.e., extending human life at the species level rather than individually. Our futurism is not nihilistic like cyberpunk, and it avoids steampunk's potential quasi-reactionary tendencies. It is about ingenuity, generativity, independence, and community. So basically, solarpunk is optimistic, utopian, futuristic climate fiction. And he also gives us this element, which I love very, very much. This quote right here, there's an oppositional quality to solarpunk, but it's an opposition that begins with infrastructure as a form of resistance. And that is one of my favorite quotes in all of the people who have written about what solar punk is, because it's a reminder that solar punk is inherently a punk genre. We don't just stick that punk on the end of it because it sounds neat. There is something about this that is inherently rebellious, that is inherently revolutionary. And I think that really defines it very well. Infrastructure as a form of resistance. If we rebuild our energy systems, if we can rebuild our economic systems, if we can fundamentally shift how some of these structures of our world and structures of our life are functioning, then this is a way that we can make not just life better for one person, but life better for everybody, life better for the planet, life better for our relationship with ecology, all these sorts of things. All right, and so that is where we roughly land at solarpunk today. It is now a genre in which we are trying to explore all the many ways we can do this. What are the ways that we can break down infrastructure? What are the traditions that we can challenge? What do we need to build in order to create a better future for all of us going forward? I could talk about this for another 3 or 4 hours, but I think we have other speakers who would like a chance to talk as well. So, again, I know I speak fast. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat
Mm,
or let me know later.
yes.
Thank
Your
you.
your timing was great. You actually have like two more minutes.
Oh, good.
And I would like to say that it would be much easier to introduce you next time because you painted a really good picture of solar punk in my head. So thank you for that. Now we have some time for questions and answers. So I would ask you to write your questions in the chat and I will translate them into English, or you can ask directly in English and I will just read them aloud. So I invite you to write.
All right. So Guido has asked about Nomad Punk. This I mentioned before that Solar Punk is something that has a lot of fluidity to it. There's a lot of different areas you can explore. Guido and I got connected because we are interested in a similar element of Solar Punk, which is the concept of nomadism, or the ability to break from what are the conventional assumptions about sedentary society and assume that mobility may be a more important part of our climate futures than we tend to talk about. Guido approaches this from a more practical standpoint. He's been working on building his nomadic networks, looking for safe houses. I am looking at this from a literary perspective. I call this nomad punk. So solar punk with a focus on nomadism as an essential part of the climate crisis. That's kind of where my focus is. And again, this is infrastructure as a form of resistance. Rather than just kicking into the climate crisis, we are looking at ways that we can fundamentally reshape the structures of our society, question the foundational elements of how our societies work, and try and adapt the best we can from there. So thank you, Guido.
Yes, on next question is directly about mobility. So there is a question, do you produce solar cars?
That's a good question, and this is something that a lot of different solar punk writers have a lot of feelings about. I think the general, to me at least, the kind of general understanding is that the the optimal future in a lot for a lot of solar punk writers is one in which mobility has a lot of options. I live in the United States. We are a very car-based culture. I'll be honest, I love my car. I love getting to drive my car, especially out here. We don't, things are very, very far apart here in the American West, so it can be in 2 or 3 hours between places you need to go. But when I go visit Guido in Italy, it's fantastic that I can just take trains everywhere, and I love that. So the goal is to get to a point where we have viable options in a number of ways. So I think personally the cars, especially if we're looking at ones that are getting away from petroleum-based fuels, I think there is a place for cars in a solar punk future. But it cannot be a car reliant future. Like I say here in the US, we're completely car dependent, and it's very, very stifling at a lot of times. It makes it very difficult to get away from that. So it's an option, but again, options are the key, I think.
Okay, I also have a question. So
Okay.
from your point of view, what was first? Like it's egg or chicken story. So it was some kind of idea of infrastructure that which inspired like this literature movements, or it was the other way around. How do you think? So what was first?
I think again, egg and chicken. It's very difficult to say which was first. I think they very much kind of built upon each other. And yet Solarpunk's interesting because it's not like we have one person wrote the book and then the movement began. It came from a little piece over here, a little piece over here, and all started to kind of mesh together. And I don't know that anybody up until the Adam Flynn essay had really concretely sat down and said this is about infrastructure. But when you look at the early works, I think it's clear that that's what they were focused on. From an early perspective, as soon as people start working on this and trying to create a better future, you can't just make a better future for one person. You can't just create a better future for two people. If you're going to really fundamentally shift these dynamics, it has to involve a whole overhaul in infrastructure. And even in cyberpunk, or related genres like that, we do see a lot of focus on systems. Cyberpunk is all about how the corporations are keeping you down, how the oligarchy is keeping you down, about all these systems and structures are oppressing you. So I think it's very natural that Solarpunk started to look at how we can overturn those systems and create a better world. But like I said, very chicken and egg. It's hard to say which one really came first.
Thank you. Well, I don't see any new questions in the chat, so I think we can go to Yuri Miron.
Добре. Тоді, ну, я зараз думаю, невеличкий текст
Hello, I'm
introduction
thinking about the
розкажу
introduction
про мою арт-серію, яку я
about my
започаткував
series of art pictures which I was working on during this war
от уявіть
time
собі
in
місто
Ukraine,
майбутнього,
and I
де
made
не бетонні джунглі там,
the
а
city of the
ну,
future, which is not
живий
the
такий
concrete buildings,
дихаючий організм.
but
Ам,
it's a breathing and
Тільки от
living
заростаючий дах,
organism. And you see that
де
here we have
а,
houses that are
вулицями от течуть
have
струмки чи
have the
океани
gardens, and
течуть
the
близько
streets are
до,
rivers and
ну, до
streams that
будинків
are
прямо. А
going
транспорт
next to
він
the
тишить,
houses, and
а
the machines, they are
він
not
такий, він
making
грає таку
noise.
космічну ambient музику,
It's
знаєте,
more
space
like
ambient music,
it plays a
а,
soft ambient
місто,
music in the
яке живе в
space,
гармонії з
and this is
природою.
a
Це
city
не
that is
фантастика, це
harmonizing
от Stellar Nexus City,
with
якби місто, яке я
the
уявляю останні,
and so this is
а,
the city
ну,
I'm
я якби історія
seeing
всієї
in
серії
my
починається по
visions,
суті з війни, з
and I
повномасштабної
started
війни в
seeing
Україні,
them with the start
коли
of
Росія
the
вторглася
war
в
in
2022
Ukraine
році,
in
ну, вже
2022,
почала повномасштабне вторгнення
when we were
в Україну, і
invaded
бачив, як
by the Russia,
ну,
and I
руйнуються
saw like
місця.
a lot of
Наші вчора
cities
там
were
були мої
destroyed,
друзі, і
especially those where my friends used to live in.
в перші дні повномасштабної
And the
війни,
first
коли
days of the
росіяни
war,
прорвалися аж в Ірпінь, пекли,
when Russians
я побачив
trying
в новинах,
to
як прилетіла
um,
ракета в чотирьохповерховий будинок.
overtake
Ну, дуже
Irpin, and I
важка
saw like
після роботи
the
своєї творчої групи
rocket
журналістів,
actually,
там
missile
здається,
actually
першим
hit
блокпостом у мене була там квартира, дуже
the
гарна,
studio
маленька
where I had the
чотирьохповерховому будиночку.
apartment and the
І я
studio
бачив,
for
як в
work,
новинах, як
and
ракета
I
просто
saw
стерчить і новий
at the
будинок
news
ламається.
the missile that is
От.
kind of
Ну, це,
in
коротше,
this building,
болюче бачити
and I see
насправді.
only,
І
and
не
it was
тільки
very
будинки, а
painful
взагалі сусідні
realization.
колонії, зруйновані
Um,
будинки у багатьох людей. І
and it
ну,
was
це
very
дуже
hard
сильно
to see
боліло,
all of
мене це дуже
those
зачепило глибоко.
ruined
Ну, і так на досить довго, на
houses
перший
of
рік війни.
people, especially
Це
during the
вчора,
first
але
year of
потім,
war.
ну, коротше, трохи
But
депресивно
then
було, але
I
потім
was a
замість того,
bit
щоб
depressed
повертатись
for
в
a while.
темряві, я
But
почав малювати
instead of
світло,
being in the
малювати
depression
не
for
те,
long,
що
I
є, що
started
є
to
зараз
draw
оця
or
війна,
started to
вибух,
paint not what
знищені
I have seen
міста, такі як
outside of
Маріуполь
me.
і багато
Uh,
інших. Та майбутнє, де,
I
ну,
started to
теоретично
envision the
може бути. От, де
future
Україна
where
вільна,
we
де
have
Крим повернувся назад додому,
And then when Ukraine is
лише
free and
краса
Crimea is the part of
життя,
Ukraine where there is
таке
beauty,
процвітання, достаток,
where there's prosperity, well-being.
Solara Nexus City це якби
And
візуальна,
Solara next to city, it's
візуальна
like
візія про цей світ.
visual
Про
dream
узбережжя
about this
Криму
world
через
and
500, а може там 1000
about
років.
the coast of the
Якби я собі
Crimea
уявляю, що
after
Росія
500
виграє
years, in
війну
500 years.
і розпадається на багато маленьких
And
демократичних
as I
країн, які
envision
вони
that after
захоплювали
the
всю
war,
свою історію. По суті,
Russia
Росія це
becomes
багато маленьких народів, які вони
series of
завоювали. Якби. І
liberated
тоді воно, коли воно все розпадеться,
liberated people
Україна
who all will have their
Крим
homes
повернеться
because
до
Russia
України і стане
immersed in
автономним, але в
itself by
складі
a lot of
України, і
nations
туди будуть
and become one,
мільярди
and
доларів
all of those
вкладатися на
nations
його
will be
відбудову. І я уявляю, що ці
uh,
гроші
and as Ukraine,
протягом там
I
500
think
тисяч
that
років
we will have
вливаються
a
саме
lot
в
of
побудову такого міста.
there will be
SolarPunk
investments
завдяки
into
якби
building a new city and city as
частини
I envision
софінансували
it.
там ключовими
But
соларпанковими ідеями.
I
Ну,
was
таке місто,
very
звичайно, може бути
inspired by all the
побудоване
ideas of
і десь в
SolarPunk,
Іспанії чи в
and I know that
Португалії.
this
Ну, мені
place can
хотілося
be built
побачити це
in
в Криму,
Spain and
чесно.
Portugal, but I
От.
really would like to see the city built in Crimea.
В цьому місті будівлі, от вони
In this
нагадують
city, as you
дерева,
see,
гриби,
the
природні різні,
buildings, they remind you of
ну, якби, ну, якби, чесно,
trees
це
and
я в тому
mushrooms
числі і
and
грибами
other
надихався,
forms.
тому
I
грибів
really,
впало дуже
I
багато.
really was
От,
inspired by mushrooms too.
от
So
їхні фасади
therefore, you
цих
see a lot of
будинків, вони якби,
mushroom-like
це як тропікальні
houses.
ліси.
So it's like
Енергія вся
vertical
сонячна повністю.
forests, and we
Весь
use the
транспорт,
solar
він
energy,
електричний.
and all the
Всі люди,
transport
вони
is electrical, and all
усміхнені,
people are
радісні.
happy, smiling,
От ви
joyful,
надихався якби
and it's
архітектурою Гауді,
I was really
а,
inspired by architecture of
біодизайном
Audi
Хав'єра
and
Санасьяна,
bio
відомо, що багато хто
design
знає,
of
хто такий
Javier
Хав'єр Санасьян.
Sanasiana. I think you
І
know the
арт-ново, про який
Javier
тільки
Sanasian.
що, ну, арт-ново дизайн, про який тільки що ну, згадував Крістофер, дуже сильно
І,
впливав на мій естетичний
and those
дизайн
designs
мистецтва.
that Christopher also
Але ще більше
mentioned
надихався
really influenced
ідеєю,
my
що
works.
відновлення це
And I was really
про
inspired by
повернення
the
в минуле,
idea
а це
of
стрибок у краще майбутнє.
that this is not the return into the past, it's the
Мистецтво, воно ну, не
step into
зупиняє
the
розвиток,
future.
але воно
And
може запустити
I know
уяву.
that my art doesn't
А
stop
заява починається на
missiles,
висвіти.
but it can transform
Тому моє
imagination,
запрошення, ну, якби це не просто
which
подивитися
can
красиве відео, яке зараз буде
which
там,
can
ну,
create new
9
ideas for the
хвилин,
future. And I will show you the
матеріалом, що
video
я
about
створив за
9
там
minutes.
ці
So
1,5
I
роки,
not
чи
only
роки
want you to see
останні.
the beautiful pictures that are there,
Я
but I've really
пропоную подивитися це відео і уявити, яким може бути наше завтра. Це як просто
like you to imagine our
ідея, красива,
future.
прекрасна ідея. Зробити все,
And
щоб
this is a
завтра стало сьогодні, в якийсь
beautiful
проміжок
idea
часу. От давайте зараз
that you can get
подивимося це
inspired to
відео.
create this beautiful
Мені
future
потрібно
for ourselves.
Так, дякую всім за увагу.
Thank you for
Ці не
all your
чули.
attention.
Подивилися всі. Клас.
I was very glad that you have watched all of it.
Якщо є якісь питання чи ще щось.
If you have any
Можна
questions, you can ask
спробувати
me.
виказати словами зараз, що відбувається в плані емоцій. Це як мінімум
Yes,
розширило зараз моє
it's
бачення
really expanded
майбутнього
my
і
vision of
навіть
the future, and
амбіцій чи планів, чи
it
навіть
added
бачення
more
можливостей
ambition,
наших
and
можливих
I even saw
наступів
some
наших
possibilities of myself and
інженерів,
others.
фахівців, хто до того
Thank
причетний.
you.
Ну, дивлячись, наскільки це відрізняється, але наскільки це
But I
дозволяє
see how
ширше
it's
глянути на
different for
можливості.
what I
Так,
envisioned,
супер.
but how it enhances what I imagined. Thank you.
Мене це також дуже надихає.
It inspires me too.
Хочеться цим ділитись.
I really want to share it with
Якщо можна, то я
others.
додам дуже такі
I
насичені
want to
образи,
add
прямо
also, it's very
занурюєшся.
inspiring
Трошки шкода, що
images.
вимикався звук
I
на
really,
початку,
it
якщо
was
було трошки
sad that
музикою і
we
всередині,
haven't
але
heard the
вже
music,
відчуття, якщо, ну, мені здається,
but
якщо воно
this,
поєднано професійно з музикою, це певна така
I think
хвилинна медитація.
there was like a
Відходити
meditation
і
for
прямо
9 minutes
переноситися
in
в
which you
інший
can go
вимір.
and
Мгм.
actually go to the different place
Буде
and
можливість знайти
inspire
посилання
yourself.
і
So if you
подивитися цей
will be,
ролик
if
там
you can give
доступне
us
без
the
трансляції
a link
Zoom,
that we
Добре,
can
я зараз
see this
завантажу, скину в чат
video
відео.
without the Zoom
Але
interpretation of it, it
його
will be very great.
краще дивитися
Yes, I will share the video,
на
but
вертикальному
it
екрані,
it will be nice to watch it in the
а не
vertical
горизонтально.
screen, but not horizontal screen.
Він
Screen.
створений просто під вертикальний екран.
Because it was
Так
created
можливість
for
вважаєш
the
розглядати його на
vertical
великому екрані або
screen.
проекції.
It will be
Як наче
very nice
переміщаєшся
to
через
see
таке вікно.
on the
Вікно
vertical
функції.
stage, because you will be kind of into that world
Але, ми не
while you
побачимо,
see
може
it.
наші нащадки побачать.
We maybe will not see these cities, but our ancestors will.
Ще може якісь питання, когось пропозиції, враження.
Maybe somebody else want to share their experience, and maybe there's some proposals.
Перезавантажитися, бо ви нас на 9 хвилин занурили в інший вимір.
Now we have time to come back to this reality
Так, я
because
чую
we
вас.
went into the other world altogether for 9 minutes.
Yeah, but Earth-based soul. You want to ask something?
Yes, I wrote it in the chat, but I want to know if you think that this very positive and dreaming image of the future can actually influence the rebuilding of Ukraine. So can you see this vision then inspiring people and architects who will actually rebuild your country?
Yeah, I'm actually inspired by like when I imagine these buildings, I imagine they're real buildings, not just some imaginary floating buildings of like 3015, you know. But like real buildings, but real architects and engineers should think how to build this. But I'm thinking like maybe Ukraine will have lots of like money from reparations and from European countries, like help to rebuild country, because we have like 1/3 part of Ukraine destroyed. And we'll need to rebuild it after war when we reclaim these territories back, and we'll have Crimea back, like in the most positive outcome imaginable. So I imagine that it's real city built by real architects, like functional city, not just imaginary, like floating space, floating city in floating car, but like real city to inspire. Like I created to inspire. I'm an artist. I'm not an architect, and I'm not an engineer. You know, my father is a great engineer. Like he has this capabilities. I don't have the engineering or architect. I have imagination. You know, I can inspire real architects and designers and engineers to build this.
У нас є Сергій, він такий сучасний, напівфутуристичний архітектор. І я обов'язково йому
Sergey
покажу.
is we have an architect who is an architecture, and somebody wants to show this images to the architect. Yeah. He says that our audience is target audience is architects. Yes, I really want to send it to my friends architects who can actually imagine it and build it too. Okay, then download this video and share it. Thank you for your attention, for your...
Надихає, що є люди, яким це цікаво.
Тут є ще одне питання. Які перші кроки ти бачиш, щоб почати втілювати ці образи в реальність? З чого може бути початок?
Ну, початок...
How can we start? Well, the beginning is for where to end first. And then some small projects and then expand and expand and expand. Something like it.
Дуже дякую. Бачу ще одне питання. Таня, будь ласка.
Юрія, скажіть, будь ласка, чи є якісь вже
Yuriy, please
прототипи,
tell us
можливо,
if you have
десь
some
в
prototypes,
Делі, чи десь вже
it may be in Delhi or some other part of the world where we can see some of these images already built. There are some similar projects, but like this, but SolarPunk, there are a lot of SolarPunk examples which are already built. But the ones I have created, they haven't been built yet because I have just created them. Yeah, maybe some in the private territories, maybe. I have seen a lot of small projects, but the cities I have created, I haven't seen at all. Maybe there are somewhere in the world, maybe in Dubai or somewhere. Maybe sheikhs built some of the cities for themselves and haven't shown anybody yet. But I haven't seen them.
Це всі питання, чи відгуки, чи хтось ще щось хоче сказати.
Питання було таке, чи є в планах розробити концепт такого міста, з чим би можна було йти до держави, як національна ідея по відбудові України? Потім в нас один коментар, і ми до наступного спікера. Дякую.
For the rebuilding of the Ukraine? Yes, we can do that. If you have an architect who are responding to it, please show my work to them and use these designs for free to create these architectural plans for this project, and you can propose it to the government authorities like as real projects because I don't really know how to do it. I'm creating only these images. I have half of the art that is not finished yet. Video arts from this series are not finished. This is what I do. This is my work.
Юрій, дякую дуже.
Thank you for this beautiful art.
Ці всі візуалізації, так, і
And
я розумію, що
I
це
understand
натхнення
that
ти
this inspiration
якимось,
is
може, більшою частиною взяв від біоніки.
is informed by Bionica about this inner world of the person. And I want to talk about two projects I remembered. And the first one is, I don't remember how it's called. It's either Green City near Singapore, or maybe in Malaysia. There is another, or maybe other country. But there are also they have a problem with the financial part of it, some laws that and this project has stopped because of it. And we also have in Ukraine the project of futuristic city, which is called Siege, Dnipro Siege, and it's in Ukrainian style, but it's something in between SolarPunk and Ukrainian style it's also in the on the river, and we are building it slowly. All these symbolics for
По типу еко-містечка, правильно?
it's something like the
Тобто не буде
eco
багато
city,
поверхових
yes.
будинків,
You will not
собі
have
так.
skyscrapers there.
Може
No.
2-3 поверхи,
Maybe
на
like we
землі,
buildings are
багато на
3
воді.
stories
Ці
up
будинки на
or
воді, на
floors
нашому
up,
якості.
and
Це
because
кажу, ні,
these are
теж є
houses on the
щось
buildings are on the
робить, і
water.
це
So this
дуже
is
гарно.
the examples of
в мене
what
все,
we are
дякую.
creating. This is
Дякую.
all I have to say. Thank you.
And next speaker we will have Lubodar here, and he's going to tell us about connection between technologies and traditions. And also, I think there are going to be some part about Gen Ukraine communities. So I pass my word to Lubodar.
Yes, once again, thank you very much. Hello again. Good evening. Good day, I guess, to America. Yes, to Colorado, USA. Or maybe good night. Correct me. Oh, never mind. Okay. I also can call myself a storyteller, a writer. I do write articles, tales, poems. But the story we're gonna hear today, our story, is the one we write here in Ukraine all together in Jane network, along with people, with those people who do care about ecology, about the planet, about our future. And this story is about the past, about these days, and the future itself. Our possible future, the future that we choose and build every moment with our own actions. Today I didn't prepare, honestly, I didn't prepare pictures because we have lots of pictures that we may tell a little bit more about what is going on today, about our achievements, and about people. But I'll do my best, I'll try my best to use my words, to use the language to tell this story. What is GEN network, Global Villages Network? It is different. It's different in different countries, and Ukrainian network is really special one. And networks itself, it's a network connected of many locations, different locations, of very special locations. And we may say, I'm sure that we are connected. We are connected as strong locations. It's very special locations inside the special network. And that's why you'll find many different, many interesting for everyone's interests. It's connected. It's connecting technologies, culture, all. It's connected knowledge about education processes, about different lifestyles, about it's connecting different knowledges about taking care of our world, of environment we live in, and to tell about the future is to tell about all these special occasions. And I can tell, no, I can speak very very long time about everything I love here, everything I'm inspiring. All this time I'm here. I know these people. I know the network itself. This very very large project, and I'm able to tell a long about my location, about my experience, and the more I get to know about such opportunities here, the more I get to know about myself, my own opportunities, and I'm doing my best to improve these abilities and to improve my achievements, improve our achievements. So this is great connection and very powerful connection. So wrapping up here as introduction of our network and couple words about myself. My name is Lubodar. I'm a system architect by my occupation. I love this. These things in my life, but I'm a human. I love my human's life. My living style as a human. I love to be human man. So my nature is really connected to the earth, to the nature. I have my family estate, family gardens, which is which were founded more than 100 years ago, and now I'm taking care of this place. And what about SolarPunks? If you ask me, or if you ask many people here, did you know about SolarPunks? Did you know this term before? Many of us will say, no, we didn't actually know. Punks? Oh, it's some subculture, musical subculture. Some rebellious guys and girls who were wearing very weird clothes, listening to some loud musics. Some rebellious guys and girls. But if we dive deeper, if we consider why did these people, this music movement, why these people have chosen this style of living? Yes, because they also were trying to find alternatives. They also felt something was wrong, and they tried to fix that. So if we consider now, we know much more about SolarPunks. Thanks for Guido, Marco, thanks to other guys. thanks to the stories they telling us. Now we getting more and more, and we understand that these people who are the solar punks. So we may say now it's people who trying to fix the problem we face all the time, and not only by picturing the bright future, but doing connecting past to this future. And that is what we do now. That is what we do here. We are collecting all the experience of the past. We are trying to improve ourselves here in the nowadays, in this time, and we're building these bridges to the future doing this. Are we a solar punks? We are. If we don't really understand this terminology, yeah, but what we do, that's what we really do here as a network, as locations, as people, and what does the network do? It's empowering these locations, these people, these projects who have these great, interesting ideas, and we do have many ideas. These people I'm representing here now, my friends, my colleagues, my like everyone here. So it's a great team. So, and what can I say? Maybe I'll give. I want to remind all these examples. No, maybe in general what we do, because uh, we do such different things, but all together they are kind of this puzzles, this part of this large picture of our future. So all these movements, all these actions all together are really great movement. So what do we have? We have, on the one hand, and as fundamentations and fundamental part, we have a great history of Ukraine, of people, great traditions. Not only, okay, but traditions of living close to the nature, taking care of the nature of the planet, of local part of the planet. Great traditions of using resources, of renewing soils, renewing the earth itself by gardening, but planting all these trees. We have great traditions of psychological, mental recreation. We can consider many of us as great, like subconscious psychologists, each for another, and that is really treasures, as I can tell that, because sometimes I love the level of empathy people have here. My people surrounding me have here, and that supports a lot. We have technologies, so we have an experience of using different technologies, and here where evolution comes. So the more we we use the technologies, the more and the wiser we use the technologies, the more we get to know how to improve technologies. That I can tell for sure with my own example, because from my childhood, I just like to use different appliances, different tools, and I like to. I do improve it all the time as it improved, being improved in all the world. But and that is where one more like SolarPunk style feature comes, like DIY, do it yourself traditions comes. These traditions are really popular in Ukraine, not the part we don't have money to buy it. We do have to buy like basic things, but we like to improve. We like to do some special, to do some with our own hands. It getting from our childhood because kids are taught to do many things with our own hands. Girls are being taught for tailoring, use needles, make to make dresses, clothes for themselves, for their dolls, puppets, and guys doing everything from anything, let's say. Yeah, and that's not only a game, it's one of the wisest part of education, of traditions of educations here, because we let them to get to know the world better from the very childhood
Lubodar,
age.
sorry to interrupt. You have like 1 more minute before questions.
Okay, okay. So about other traditions, we have a great traditions here for permaculture and gardening, and it's not only like agriculture traditions, but it's wise traditions of using all the opportunities we have here and now to to make the things that like stopping us to make the things that to make our powering things. We have good traditions of communicating, of respectful communication within the team and without on outside. That's why we may call ourselves SolarPunk. We are solar for sure. We are building our future, our common future. That's great to know.
Thank you.
Maybe this is good to finish. And as a permacultural and style of permaculture, I didn't prepare pictures today, but I will use that as opportunity to make a good video with pictures from our locations and give it to everyone very soon. Why not? Let's do it.
Thank you.
So
Thank
first
you, Lubodar.
questions.
Yeah, I would like to say that I envy your skill to talk with heart because, like, I don't know, it feels like information coming to me not with words, but somehow in a different way. So using my privilege of the host here, I have actually 2 questions. So first one would be how did you meet SolarPunk as an idea, as a movement? And the second question would be what technologies you use on your farm which you can consider SolarPunk technologies?
Uh, okay. We met thanks to Maxim, as Maxim Zalewski, our president. We may thank him for very many things because he's looking very towards the future, so very far away, and that's why he's taking closer all these opportunities. And one of such opportunities was crypto grants for Earth, for renewable soils, yeah, regenerative things. And we started to chat with Guido, with Marco, and invited guys to visit us in Ukraine. They decided to take many gifts to us, mostly to support our bicycle projects, and presented us also some power banks and solar panels to show like in basically what is it, what we may use, so people would get to know a little bit more about the movement and about technologies. And as for technologies, I like this question because it's not only technologies which is SolarPunk style I have, but the way I use technologies and the way I use like local economic in general is very SolarPunk style, because I prefer to say we. As a team, we are not waiting to someone to support us, and we are collecting all the power we have to start from the point we are here and now. I know that is very SolarPunk style because Guido tell me that all the time, sometimes, and I understand that. I start to understand that deeper. And as for technologies, I decided to, and I working on that for years, to use electrical tools powered with bicycle accumulators in our garden, for gardening, for soil cultivating, for grass mowing. So I throw away petrol engines and put the electrical devices, electrical motors I've made. I'm making. So I like to play with that, and achievements are really great. I like it very much. I share it from time to time.
Thank
Yeah.
you. If you have any more questions, so just ask in the chat. So I see Maxim raise his hand, but Lubodar maybe not can't hear him. So if it's possible, would be nice to write.
Я хотів сказати всім, що ось я завантажив.
I wanted to tell everybody that I have downloaded the video of Lubomir Solotech videos, so you can see them in TikTok. There is a
Розумію,
link
Максим
to that.
пропонує запустити відео, щоб зробити зараз трансляцію.
And we think maybe Maxim wants us to.
Це чути мене?
Yes.
Там просто я поставив посилання на коротке відео.
No, this is a short video about the Lubodar's.
Щоб просто представлення, що він робить.
So you can see what Lubodar is making and why it can be considered a SolarPunk. You can watch it. It's a 1 minute video. You can see.
I may just add that if someone wants to dive deeper, want to see more technologies, I invite you to my channel. I'll put the link here, and maybe the better one for technologies. I would show the scooter we use in our school. If it's okay, if I have 2 minutes.
Yeah, you
I
have
would like
exactly 2 minutes before we
Okay,
go into
okay. So
to finish
if
this
I'm able to
amazing
share the
event.
screen. Oh yeah.
Коротше, зима, божевільні діти осваюють божевільний транспорт, в міру божевільний.
Maybe трошки менше розрішення.
Mm,
Мгм.
oh.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's one example. It's a scooter we've made with some kids. Yeah, from some old children's bike of my nephew. Yeah, many interesting things. Maybe we'll make some your ideas make real. So let's stay online. Thanks to everyone.
Thank you, Lubodar. Yeah, thank you very much for your time. Sorry for the technical inconvenience. I have things to consider for the next meetings. So it was really nice. Now,
I loved it.
yeah,
Loved everything. Nice.
now we know each other better. Thank you all, and I wish you a great evening, morning for Christopher. So we can all wave each other goodbye. Nice, good, long goodbye or ciao.
Bye
See you
bye.
next
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
goodbye.
So thank you so much.
Ciao. Bye bye.